Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys, we're going to be doing a top 5 video on the top 5 ways that you can play a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. So if you are getting tired of playing the same old Blue Eyes deck again and again and again, this is the video for you to find out different ways that you can innovate your Blue Eyes deck and try different builds out. Now, I want to mention before I start this video, there are a multitude of different ways that you can play a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. These are personally 5 ways that I've personally played Blue Eyes White Dragon, and I have thoroughly enjoyed playing the deck this way. Some of the other different variations that I've seen being used recently is the Link Kaiba build, along with Level Eater to make a whole bunch of Link spam boards and go for Firewall Dragon and things of that nature. So if you're more into Link summoning, you can build Blue Eyes in that aspect. There's a whole bunch of different builds you could build, but today we're focusing on my favorite top 5 builds that I like playing. So the number 1 build is the standard version of Blue Eyes White Dragon, which is, I guess you could say, one of the most widely used and has a broad range of different ways that you can play it. The standard version pretty much works where you can pretty much go for synchro monsters and control more of what your opponent does. It's more of a control variation of Blue Eyes White Dragon. And what I mean by that is you can usually go for Blue Eyes Spirit to control the board, and then you can tech in maybe some other cards if you like, where you could tech in things like a Morphage Goliath, which you can tech into your main deck to control your opponent's extra deck. So you go for your Blue Eyes Spirit, then you use your Morphage Goliath. There you go. You've locked your opponent out of their opponent out of the extra deck, and you're just going to use big, beefy 3000 Blue Eyes monsters to just crash into your opponent and beat them up into pulp. So that's how that deck works. It's very good. You also can tech in other things into the deck build. Some people, what I consider to be things that you can put into a standard Blue Eyes deck, is you can also put in things like Felgrand, which works well because he's level 8 and he has good effects and can easily be put into the deck as a 1 of or 2 of. You can also put into things like Archbrave Dragon, which Archbrave can bring back Goliath and all your other dragon monsters. However, the downside to the Felgrand build is, oh gosh, Archbrave, Archbrave, Archbrave. Why are you a level 7? If you were a level 8, you'd be so good, but you're a level 7. But you're still good. But Archbrave Dragon, you can tech in as a 1 of in these type of Felgrand Blue Eyes hybrids, which I consider a standard way to play Blue Eyes, but it's a different version of the standard variation. The standard variation of Blue Eyes White Dragon can diverge into so many different directions, but it all stems into going for synchro monsters and using big, beefy monsters to beat down your opponent, and sometimes to tech in cards in your deck to lock out your opponent from doing different plays. Some other variations of the standard version, which is probably, I could say, is the most diverse version of Blue Eyes White Dragon, is you can tech in your hand traps. Your Maxi, which you're probably running already, but you can also tech in your Ghost Ogres, your Ghost Ashes, your Winter Cherries, your Ash Foreheads. You can tech in Pendulum Hate. You can tech in things like Anti-Spell Fragrance and things of this nature if you're going against a Pendulum matchup. The standard version of Blue Eyes White Dragon can work very well with the extra deck, and that's one of the great benefits of the standard version. It does one thing good, which is beat down your opponent with big monsters, and it can easily be sided out in Game 1 and Game 2. So that's one of the benefits of the standard versions of Blue Eyes White Dragon. So let's go into the second version, which, by the way, guys, if I haven't mentioned this already, none of these are in any particular order. They're just different versions of Blue Eyes White Dragon that you guys can play and enjoy with. The next version is something that I recently profiled on the channel here, and that is the Lord of Red Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. Now, this version has benefits over the Blue Eyes Chaos Max version, and it has downsides from the Blue Eyes Chaos Max version. So some of the upsides of playing Lord of the Red over the Blue Eyes Chaos Max version of Blue Eyes is the fact that Lord of the Red is more interactive. Chaos Max Dragon is more proactive. What I mean by that is, while Chaos Max Dragon is going to do more stuff for you on your turn, so I can do piercing damage. I have a big monster that's untargetable. It's really hard to get over necessarily. That is one of the benefits of Chaos Max. However, on my opponent's turn, I really can't do anything with Chaos Max Dragon. While Lord of the Red has different effects for popping monsters, popping back row, and things of that nature, which I can do on both my turn and my opponent's turn, which is something that Blue Eyes Chaos Max cannot do. The other thing that Lord of the Red has a benefit over Blue Eyes Chaos Max is I can use the card Pre-Preparation of Rites. Pre-Preparation of Rites is a +1 that allows you to add the ritual spell and the original ritual named monster on the ritual spell, Lord of the Red, in tangent with Red Eyes Transmigration. You can add to your hand and easily go for a ritual summon. The downside to Lord of the Red, however, is the fact that it only has 2,400 attack, which in the general consensus of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is respectable attack, but it can easily be run over. But you can easily do different builds of Lord of the Red to make it very control-based, where you can put a Morphage Goliath in, which I've seen people do before. And you also, what you can tech into the deck is you can do things like run have a Blue Eye Spirit on the field with a Return of the Dragon Lords and Grave, and then also have a Lord of the Red. So I can lock you out of your back row. I can lock you out of your graveyard. If you're pendulum summoning, you're going to be up the creek. I can also have things like possibly also have Lord of the Effect. You know, you can tech in different cards like Paranissimo, so I can do more things to my opponent on their turn and make it harder to get over the Lord of the Red. So Blue Eye Spirit with the Lord of the Red on the field is pretty okay. The downside, again, to Lord of the Red is the fact that it's harder to side deck in cards because it's a ritual-based deck. You have to, with the 3 Preparation of Rites, the 3 Lord of the Red, or whichever variation of how many numbers you want to run, you're going to have a little bit harder time siding in side deck cards. You can't run Anti-Spell Fragrance. You can't run things like that because it's going to be a little bit harder to use in this deck, and it'll really slow your deck down to a crawl. But you can use other cards to hurt your opponent. So while it's pretty okay to side deck, it's not as versatile, and you can't completely change put in pretty much your entire side deck for a certain matchup. It's not as wide of a variation of side deck cards as you can use for a standard version of Blue Eyes. I would say to some degree, mind you. The next version is a version that I've played with online, and I haven't built in real life yet, but it's very fun to play online, and that is Invoke Blue Eyes, which has a lot of upside to some degree. It's very competitive, but the problem is with Invoke Blue Eyes at the moment of me making this video is Invocations and Macabas are pretty expensive. For those cards, you're probably going to have to, right now, when I'm doing this video, it's going to cost you about $75 just for 3 copies of each card. Or you can go with 2 Invocations and 2 Macabas, which is still going to run you a hefty amount of money, upwards towards $70 plus. So it's pretty expensive to build that version of Blue Eyes. That's one of the downsides to it, but it has a lot of upsides as well. The only problem with this deck is the fact that it's a fusion-based deck, and Blue Eyes White Dragon is a synchro-based deck. While before we had Master Rule 4, I would say Blue Eyes Invoke was amazing, and it was one of the best builds to run of Blue Eyes White Dragon. The downside now is with Master Rule 4, you have to play Link monsters to get the most benefit out of Blue Eyes Invoke, which means you have to go for something like a Decode Talker and then go for your Macaba and your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon if that's what you want to do. But you can also just go for your Macaba and then go for your regular Blue Eyes Beatdown plays. So it has its pros and its benefits. However, I would say when we do get the light Link monster, which has its arrows pointing downward, downward like that, then the deck will probably be a little bit better because now it's easy. Blue Eyes can easily go into that light Link monster, and then you can set up your play for your Macaba and Blue Eyes Spirit, just like you could have done to some degree, not as efficiently as you did before Master Rule 4. So Invoke Blue Eyes, very good. Downsides, it is expensive to build, and it's a little bit hindered by Master Rule 4. But overall, good deck, not a bad build. People also, what they're doing right now, for what I've seen people do to tech in to their Invoke engine, is they'll tech in a Morphage Goliath, which is one of the most teched in Blue Eyes cards I have to admit out there I've seen ever. Some people like playing it, but they also like playing it around with the Felgrand, which leads to some inconsistencies in my opinion. But overall, it's still a good build of Blue Eyes, for better or for worse. But what you can do is you can tech that in so you can have an Morphage Goliath on the field after you have your Makaba already on the field. So you have your Makaba on the field, then you bring out your Morphage Goliath. I've seen some people do this. It's not everybody doing it, but I've seen some people try it out. But that is the number 3 way that you can play Blue Eyes White Dragon. The other way we have is Blue Eyes Chaos Max version, which is probably, I have to say, next to the standard version of Blue Eyes is, if not more so, the most popular build, because people in Yu-Gi-Oh!, what do we like? What does Seto Kaiba like, right? We like big boss monsters that are untargetable, and we hate kaijus because they wreck our day and ruin our fun, right? Right. So Blue Eyes Chaos Max is a very popular build because it's a big monster, untargetable, can't be touched except by kaijus in other ways. It can do a lot of different things. The downside is it has 0 defense pretty much. It can easily be getting over if you could put it in defense position some way or another. But it can also be kaiju, which is a downside. But for the most part, it's a very popular build and it's very fun. And it's a very awesome build, I have to say. It's very anime-esque, the deck is. But it's a very fun build to play, and it does a lot of different things. And it can win tournaments here and there. But it's very fun. The problem with it, however, is you're going to run into this problem with the deck where, unlike Lord of Red, where I could run pre-preparation of rights, and I could search out my different combo pieces for it, so I could search out my Red Eyes Transmigration and my Lord of the Red, I cannot use pre-preparation of rights in Blue Eyes Chaos Max because it does not specifically name on Chaos. I forget the ritual for Chaos Max, the Pacific one that everybody used, the one that came with it in the pack. But it doesn't specifically list Blue Eyes Chaos Max on the text, which means I can't use pre-preparation rights to search both out. If you could, whoo, that would have been amazing, but you cannot do that. So it does have a downside in that department. However, it does have some upside as well. What I mean by that is you can use things like Melody of the Awakened Dragons to easily search out the monster and add it to your hand. So if I already have a regular Blue Eyes or alternative in hand, what I can do is I can go Blue Eyes, search out whatever random piece I need, a alternative, a regular Blue Eyes, and then I can search out a Chaos Max and easily do different things to go for my ritual summon, which is amazing. You also can set up your graveyard by sending your Blue Eyes from hand or from the deck to the graveyard through whatever ritual means you want to do. From Advanced Ritual Art, so I can send it from my deck to the graveyard, or a Chaos Form, I believe it's called. You can send it from your hand to your graveyard. You can then set up things for your Blue Eyes Silver Dragon, spell card to reborn that vanilla Blue Eyes, or I can use it for also Return of the Dragon Lord, so I can reborn it and also have protection for my dragon monsters in grave already. So while sending the Blue Eyes from hand or deck from graveyard is good, it's nice. Blue Eyes Chaos Max is searchable through Melody of the Awakened Dragons. The problem it has is the ritual spell. That is the Achilles heel of the Blue Eyes. And the fact that the stuff can be kaiju'd easily. So if you're building a Blue Eyes Chaos Max version, you shouldn't just focus on the ritual. You should also put in your basic combo play, so I can go for my Spirit Dragon, my Azure Eyes, my Crystal Wing, stuff of that nature, your Hope Harbinger, Titanic Galaxy, things of this nature you should still be building the deck towards, but you also have, on the tail end, I also can go for this big, powerful ritual monster that can wreck your day, if you get what I'm trying to say here. So, pros and cons of each. And the last version is one of my versions that, I love playing, but it's hindered by Master Rule 4, and that is the Blue Eyes Fusion version of Blue Eyes, or, as I like calling it personally, Blue Eyes Shining Dragon deck. Now, the Blue Eyes Shining Dragon deck is very versatile. It mainly goes for the fusion plays. So you use things like Future Fusion to set up your graveyard by sending a whole bunch of dragons to grave. You don't care if you get the fusion, in Master Rule 4. I just want to send my dragons to grave to get their effects off. That's all I care about. If I get a big fusion monster, great! Awesome! Bravo! But I don't care. I just want to get my effects in grave. The second thing you care about with that deck is you can also, it's more of an anime-esque deck than any of the other versions of Blue Eyes, because Blue Eyes Shining Dragon, it was in the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie. It's fun. It's awesome. It's nostalgia. I get to go for Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. And it's actually pretty consistent nowadays. The reason for that, why it's consistent, is you can run things like King of the Swamp nowadays to search out your polymerization, and it can be a substitution for your Blue Eyes White Dragon. So you can run 3 King of the Swamp, so you can easily go for your fusion, search out your poly, do your combo plays. You also have future fusion back in the game. Even though with the errata, you can still use it. And overall, for the most part, the deck functions as a standard version of Blue Eyes. However, it's not really good for competitive play because it uses so many combo pieces. If you take any of them out, it becomes very bricky, so you can't easily side deck things in or take things out. So for casual play, it's a fun deck because you can go easily for Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. You can go for the new Blue Eyes Shining, Blue Eyes Fusion, which came out of the movie pack, which is amazing. Blue Eyes Neo Galaxy Dragon, something I believe it's called off the top of my head. I forget. But you can go for so many different fusions, so many different plays. The deck functions fairly well, even under Master Rule 4. And I'm probably going to do a deck update very shortly about that deck. The deck will get better with time when we eventually, again, get the light Link 2 monster with its 2 Link arrows pointing down. The deck will become better again. But you can still run things like Decode Talker in the deck and do different combo plays to set up your plays for that. So it's one thing that I like doing once in a while is running Scapegoat in the deck, because Scapegoat can be a defensive card if I'm bricking and I need some back row. But it also helps easily set up my Link markers of going for Link Karibo, Proxy Dragon. Now I can go for a fusion and I can go for a synchro play, and I'm good to go off of 1 card. So you can tech things in to make it work under Master Rule 4. You just have to be a little innovative, really. But those are my 5 ways, guys, that I enjoy playing Blue Eyes White Dragon. Please tell me if you have any other ways that you like playing Blue Eyes so we can help the Blue Eyes community out overall. But these are 5 ways that I enjoy playing Blue Eyes White Dragon. And until next time, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and go Seto Kaiba, and I'll see you guys next time. Good luck dueling to all of you. Take care, everybody.